This is the second time I'm trying to record this. Not because I'm emotional or like crying. It's just because this is a lot to think about and remember and go through. And I should probably write notes for it, but I don't know. I'm trying to do it on the spot because I feel like that's just important. So, yesterday I found out that I have an extremely rare, benign brain tumor. That's important. It's non-cancerous. It's benign. It's probably been there my whole life. But specifically, I have a 5 millimeter colloid cyst in the third left ventricle of my brain. Somebody who's a doctor knows what that means. But the gist is, it's a cyst, it's a brain tumor, it's benign, probably been there for forever. It's causing me a lot of issues. And I want to make this video to be able to sort of explain the process of getting to this point. And granted, I don't know very much, but even just to get here has been a struggle. And also just to document kind of where I'm at, because I assume it's going to change, and I want to be able to remember this as time kind of progresses. So, I'm not really sure where to start because I don't know when symptoms started for me. I just straight up don't, because chances are I've had this the majority of my life. I don't know if this is what caused a lot of the mental health struggles that I had, especially in high school and like early college. I don't know if this is what has caused like the issues I had like in later college or in graduate school when I had like really, really severe bordering on like agoraphobic anxiety. I have no idea. So I'll just start with when things became noticeable to me, and that is in May. So all of my life, since I can remember, like I have memories of this happening when I was like 6 years old, I've really struggled with sleep. And usually that's falling asleep. It takes me 45 minutes to an hour to fall asleep every night. Unfortunately, that's normal to me, and I don't really care about it anymore. It's fine. But starting like in May, I was waking up in the middle of the night, like 5, 4, 3, even 2 a.m. and having a horrible time getting back to sleep. And that's really abnormal to me. I usually would wake up when my husband would get up for work at like 5, but I would go back to sleep immediately. I wouldn't remember it at all. And so I started having trouble with that. And I was going to my primary care physician for just like medication refills, and I brought it up to her, and she was like, let's go ahead and do some blood work. You know, we haven't had blood work done in forever. I was like, okay. So I got the blood work done, and it came back that I was really low in vitamin D and vitamin B12. I've heard that story before. Every time I have had blood work done, I've been low in those things. And I know that like getting on supplements for those helps a lot. So I was like, okay. So I started very specific supplements that she recommended, and they actually helped quite a bit. And I was on those, like, I remember my sleep got a little bit better after that. I remember in June it was a little bit better. And then in July, it started to get worse again. Mind you, I have nothing going on right now. Work is really easy. I don't have any stressors. Like, May, June, and July were very chill. So there was nothing externally going on that should have been impacting that. So I come back for a follow-up in August, and let's say that my appointment is on Wednesday. It's the weekend before. So prior to that, maybe like a week before that weekend, I had fallen really hard in the garage. Tripped over nothing, fell extremely hard. Okay, that's a little weird, but I don't know. Maybe that happens to everybody. And then the following weekend, I was walking on the treadmill. This is a Sunday before I go back to the doctor. I was walking on my treadmill and I fell off the side of it, again, tripped on nothing, and I got my left foot caught in the side of the treadmill and it kind of like ran through it. And I sat down on the couch. It hurt really, really bad. I was like writhing in pain. It hurt really, really bad. It felt like I bruised it, but it also felt really weird. So I took my sock off and I have like what's going to be a bruise from like my middle toe around like my like ring toe, pinky toe inside of my foot. I can tell it's going to be a bruise, but I can't feel my pinky toe. And you might hear that. You might be like, oh, okay, so you broke your toe. No, I could still move it, but I couldn't feel it whatsoever. It felt weird, and I don't think falling off my treadmill caused it to be numb. I think it was already numb, and that was just what made me aware of it. I've had my pinky toes go numb before, particularly like when I'm driving, but it only lasts a few minutes and then it comes back and it's fine. And I looked it up and apparently that's just like, that happens to a lot of people. So I didn't really give it too much thought when it would happen then, but this was very weird and it didn't go away. So that was Sunday. Monday, I went to work and I fell really hard in the parking lot. Again, tripped over nothing. I just fell. And Tuesday, remember, very much happened on Tuesday. Wednesday, I go to the doctor. And at that point, I am like kind of walking with a limp because I can't feel my left foot. And I just don't, like, I'm having like muscle pains and I'm having like nerve pain in my feet and my legs, which if you've never had nerve pain before, it feels like electricity. It's horrible. And like some back pain, and I just generally didn't feel good. I also wasn't sleeping very well. And I told my doctor about this. She was like, yeah, that's really weird. Let's go ahead and do an autoimmune panel. And she was like, particularly what I'm going to be looking for are MS, lupus, and Epstein-Barr virus. So I'm kind of like, okay, you know, I've heard of these things except for Epstein-Barr before. Epstein-Barr is basically like, everybody has it, it's dormant in your system, and sometimes it'll just reactivate and cause a lot of issues. I was like, okay. So it's going to take a week and a half for the blood work to come back, because some of them she has to ship out to like Salt Lake City. The Epstein-Barr virus one particularly had to go to Salt Lake City, which is so weird because it's extremely common, everybody has it, but it takes a week and a half to get blood work back because you have to send it to like a special place. Insane. So I'm like, okay. So that was going to be, my appointment with her was yesterday. A lot happens in these 2 weeks though. So I leave, and Thursday I ended up having a lot of cancellations. I was at home, which was good because I was walking with a noticeable limp. I was kind of in pain. I would say pain is not significant though in this story. Pain is not the worst part. The worst part is the weakness and the numbness. Okay, I don't really remember numbness getting worse that day. I was just really, really tired. So the following day, Friday, I go to work for a little bit. I'm at work for a couple hours, and when I'm driving home, I'm realizing that my foot up to like my hip, most of my leg is numb. This freaks me out. I get home, I call my doctor, and she was kind of like, yeah, she was like, that's really concerning. She was like, if you feel like you need to go to the ER, go, but I can't tell you to. And I'm like, girl, I want you to tell me to. Because how I interpreted that was, okay, if it gets worse, I'll go to the ER. But like, in my head, I was like, what are they going to do at the ER? So, Friday happens. Saturday, I wake up and my husband and I are just hanging out and playing games together, and I realize now at this point I am numb from my foot up to about my shoulder, you know, all my left side and a little bit in like my cheek, like my face. And that freaks me out really bad. And I get up to go to the bathroom and I realize I had peed myself a little bit. And I had no idea. And so my husband and I are like, yeah, it's time to go to the ER. So go to the ER in Midland. they're affiliated with my doctor. It's like in the same system. So decided to go there. Thought it was a good choice. And I like can't walk on my own now. I can't hold myself up. Noah basically has to like support me to get into the ER, and they give me a wheelchair when I get in there. And a lot happens there, and I don't know if it's just because I was super anxious, but they were trying to take my vitals, and I was not super responsive. I wasn't thinking very clearly, and so they took me back into this little room, and they like pull my shirt up and do an ECG. The first time I recorded this, I called it an EKG. I think that's something different. They did an ECG on my chest, and this other doctor comes back and he was like, okay, lift your arms up like this for me and hold them there. And so I did. And I didn't know that at the time, but I learned later that's like a stroke or like a brain damage test. And I'll say honestly, it's really, the medical system moves incredibly slowly for most things, but when they move fast, it's so scary. And when they're doing things and they're not telling you what they're doing because it's kind of like in the essence of time, like if you're having a stroke, like we need to know right now, or if you're having a heart attack, we need to know right now, and like we can tell you what's happening later. That is really scary. So he was also like doing a mental status exam too. He was like, okay, what year is it? Okay, where are you? What's your name? What's your birthday? And he asked some other questions that were like very like mental status exam. And that was very weird for me. I can say I've never had a mental status exam before that. So they figure out I'm not stroking out, I'm not having a heart attack, but they were really concerned about stroke. I found out from my paperwork later. And so they send me back to the waiting room, and I go back to the actual ER area very shortly after. And a lot of stuff happens in the ER. A lot of it's not important. Basically, what they end up doing is blood work, urine test to make sure I'm not pregnant, toxicology panel to make sure I'm not on drugs, which I wasn't, x-rays of like my chest, and a CT scan of my head and neck. Okay, so really nothing happens in the ER that I know of. It becomes important later that something did. I didn't know it. Okay. ER doctor comes in after the CT scan, like an hour and a half after, and he's like, yeah, everything looks good, your blood work looks great. He was like, your brain looks wonderful. Put a pin in that, we'll come back to it later. We're going to refer you out to a neurologist, important neurologist, because that also changes later. He's like, we're going to refer you to a neurologist, give them a call, follow up with your primary care provider, period. And I'm like, okay. I'm a little disappointed, but that's basically what I expected. And really, I just wanted to go to the ER to make sure I wasn't in, like, significant, like, life-ending medical distress. So I was a little bit upset, a little bit hard on myself when we got home, because I'm like, oh my god, I just wasted thousands and thousands of dollars to be told, like, wait, you know? So I was kind of struggling with that, and the ER didn't give me like a mobility aid or anything, so I couldn't walk. That's kind of annoying. So I ended up ordering a cane on Amazon, and like, baby, when I say that cane has saved my life the past couple weeks and made it so I can go to work and can take care of myself. A $25 pink cane from Amazon, nobody can ever make me hate. I don't care. It's helped me a lot. So I ordered a cane from Amazon, and that was basically like my aftercare. That was like all I had. So Sunday rolls around, I get the cane, and it helps a lot. Monday, my doctor opens, so I call her, and I'm like, hey, I was in the ER over the weekend, can I come in? And she's literally like full, because of the upcoming Labor Day weekend, and she had some stuff going on. Okay, so she is literally full. She cannot see me until my follow-up, which was yesterday, so in 8 days. I'm like, cool. Okay, so then I'm like, okay, well, let me call the neurologist and see what's up. Call the neurologist, and he is like, his office is like very confused on why I'm calling them. And they're like, we don't take outside referrals. First of all, not outside. I got it from the ER. We don't take outside referrals. It needs to come from your primary care physician. I'm like, so I call the social worker at the ER and I'm like, what is this? And she was very helpful. She was like, yeah, I don't know. She was like, I'll get into contact with your doctor's office and see what I can do. And then doctor's office calls me back and they're like, yeah, we're working on it. You should get a call from the referral within the next week. And I'm like, how? And like, as a counselor, I'm like, if we got a potential client and we're like, oh, we'll get back to you in the next week, that's not allowed. That just isn't allowed. Why is it okay for doctor? Anyway, I could rant about this a lot, but they were like, oh, the neurologist will get back to you in a week. Okay. So the rest of the week, I am just kind of like doing the best I can, basically. Going to work, exhausted, very, very, very tired. Weakness, numbness actually gotten 100% better. Weakness, still about the same, really relying on the cane. Balance, bad. I feel like my thinking has been worse and my memory has been worse, but I don't, again, kind of the reason why I'm recording this, because I don't really know. Noah said that he's noticed like some things, but it really hasn't been that bad. So, regardless, have a long weekend, sleep a lot, very tired. Tuesday rolls around, and go to my doctor yesterday with Noah, and she tells me that in the ER, in the CT scan without contrast, they did find something. It was not normal. My brain was not normal. I had a cyst. I had a brain tumor. 5mm brain tumor. And yeah, I don't know why they didn't tell me. I genuinely have no idea why they didn't tell me. And my doctor said she knew. She knew the day that I got out of the ER when I called them on Monday. And she had been working behind the scenes to try to get me some help. And so basically what had happened was with the referral, they had tried to get me into the neurologist. She sent over all my stuff. She sent over all the scans and everything. And the neurologist saw it and said, no, she needs to go to a neurosurgeon. So that's what was actually happening. They were trying to get me into a neurosurgeon. And, you know, we talked for a long time in the doctor's office just about, like, what does that mean? But basically, a colloid cyst forms when you are in utero. It's there for the majority of your life, if not your entire life. I don't really know where it comes from, but some of the ones that have been, like, taken out and looked at have embryonic fluid in them. So they can be there for your entire life. And it just kind of happens when they get big enough and start pressing on important structures that it becomes noticeable. A lot of the times they're found incidentally. Like if you get into a car accident and you get a head CT, maybe they find it then. But usually most of the time, what I was reading, like 40% of diagnoses of these happen in the ER. So they come up when people have a sudden loss of balance or consciousness, or they're really sick, or they're having really bad headaches and they don't know why. I actually haven't really had any headaches. That's kind of weird, isn't it? That's like the most common symptom. I really don't feel like I get migraines occasionally, but I get them like once or twice a year. And that's like, I think normal, you know? So anyway, they're having some sort of horrible symptoms and they go to the ER for it and it's found there. But colloid cysts are less than 1% of diagnosed brain tumors, so they are extremely, extremely, extremely rare. So, something I talked about with my doctor yesterday is, you know, I'm being referred to neurosurgeon in Midland. However, even though he's a good neurosurgeon, she knows him, there is a chance he's never even seen it before. And I may, just for like the quality of care that I need, and the expertise that I need, may have to go to Dallas or Houston. Like, And I've kind of came to terms with that. I think that's probably what's going to happen, and that I may have to relocate temporarily back to DFW, where my in-laws live. And I used to live there. And that kind of sucks because obviously I want to be here in West Texas. This is where my job is. This is where my house is. This is where, my husband and my cat are. But if that's how it has to be, it's how it has to be. So, that's kind of all the information I have now. I called the neurosurgeon this morning, and they were having phone issues, which, again, how is this allowed? So I called my doctor, and I was like, they're having phone issues, but I'm really trying to get in. She was like, oh, that's weird. She was like, let me call them. I'm going to call you back. So she called me back later, and she was like, hey, actually, they can't take you. They don't take your insurance. It's going to cost you $1 million to be able to see him. So we're referring you to a different neurosurgeon in Midland. I'm like, sure. Let's go through let's get them all out. Let's get them in a lineup. And so they can all tell me why they can't take me. Let's get this over with. And then just send me to Dallas. But not really, because I do want to just talk to an expert so they can be like, yes, this is what it is. Here's what you can expect. Yes, it needs to come out now. No, it doesn't need to come out now, but we're going to... You know what I'm saying? I just want to talk to somebody that knows what's going on, that they can help me out, and then we can get the show on the road of what I actually need to do. Because I don't know what the future is going to look like. And I think that's the part that sucks. Because right now, I can take care of myself. I can still go to work. I can still drive. But I kind of anticipate that's going to change. At least for a period of time. And that sucks. Knowing that everything you've taken for granted, your whole schema of your life is going to change. It sucks. And maybe it won't. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot right now, but if I were to guess, it's not always going to look like this. At least until I have to get the cyst removed, because after that, people see significant improvements to their life, and it never comes back. It's not the kind of tumor that will come back. Basically, it's one and done. So that's good. But getting to that part is going to be a long road. And I know that. I'm concerned about personality changes. I'm really concerned about that. I'm concerned about memory loss because I'm somebody who's always had a really good memory. That'll make being a counselor hard. But I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do that either. It's hard too, because you never want to stress out the people around you, the people that you love. And something, I would tell my clients all the time is that when people are worried about you, it's because they love and care about you and want to see you do well. And that's easy for me to tell a client. It's hard for me to tell myself. It's really hard for me to tell myself. And the weird part is I don't feel sad about this. I don't feel actually anything. I think that's just a trauma response, and I think I will. But right now I'm kind of just, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. But I do know I'm okay. And it will be okay. And, hopefully when I update this again, it'll be like, I got into the neurosurgeon and they're referring me to UT Southwestern and it's going to come out next week. I don't think that's going to be the case though. I wish it was, but I don't think it's going to be the case. I just have to see. So, if I decide to update this again, okay, but if not, that's just where I am right now. And I think that this genuinely helped me work through some of my emotions, and feel a little bit more. So, I think that was helpful. So, if you've watched this so far, thank you so much. I always wanted to start a YouTube channel, and I think because this is such a bizarre thing that I never thought would happen to me, this is an opportunity. Maybe it can help some people, so thank you.